Good morning and welcome to the 8:15 Daily Operations Weather Brief. Happy Friday, everyone. Now, this morning here on base, we are being overspread by some overcast conditions with lowered cloud decks, and those are bringing our conditions to IFR levels for anyone planning on flight operations this afternoon. Our temperatures are currently trending much lower than what has been the standard typical at this time of the day over the past few weeks, in which we should see our temperatures level out in the upper 70s come this afternoon, and that should bring a welcomed relief from the summer heat. And that will also be in conjunction with some windy conditions and may necessitate a wind advisory similar to yesterday, but that will be as the wind gusts begin to pick up throughout the day. And for our rain chances, we do have the possibility of seeing a shower, especially afternoon and in the overnight hours in the early morning hours of tomorrow. Now, taking a look at our most recent surface analysis chart here, the cold front that moved through the area last night and brought some heavy rain and gusty conditions has since slowed down to what can be considered a nearly stationary state just south of the area this morning, and that is with lingering, I would say, sub-severe showers and storms. However, those are primarily in southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. That front is expected to move further south this morning and bring in some cooler air in its wake, and that will create some significant changes in temperatures across our forecast area, with highs, as mentioned earlier, expected in the upper 70s today, along with the chance for some scattered showers and what should be non-severe thunderstorms remaining possible. And it is also worth noting that those precip chances do remain much lower than those that we saw late last night with a very defined cold front moving through the area. By Saturday, we'll see high pressure begin to build in from the Great Lakes, and that will continue to keep our temperatures below average with reduced humidity and limited rain chances, so that's nice. And the pattern will continue on Sunday with similar high temperatures and lows, along with breezy conditions. Now, taking a look at this morning's current weather observations, we do have an overcast layer at 800 feet with unrestricted visibility and winds coming from the north at about 10 knots. Our temperature currently sits at 73 degrees, and we have a relative humidity of 92%. Now, taking a look at this morning's satellite imagery, we can clearly see down here on the bottom right portion of the screen here where that cold front that is turned mostly stationary at this point sits, and that is continuing to kick off convection, given the air mass that the cold front is plowing into is largely very moist and primed for any convection to develop there. However, as we see that daytime filter come through, we have those blues. Those are representative of our lower clouds, and we do have a little bit of high level cloud cover aloft above that overcast layer, but since we can't see that, not much to make note of on that front. And in the wake of this movement here today, and once we get past the period of this 24-hour forecast period, we'll start to see clearing skies, but we'll touch on that here in a second in the 24-hour outlook. And now this is the most recent model run of the HER, a high-resolution 3-kilometer model that is on a 24-hour loop here. And if we focus on our area, especially once we get past noon, we can start to see those rain chances, especially on the coastal side of things. Those scattered showers start to develop, and they do appear to remain largely offshore, but I've introduced those rain chances in the case that one either develops a little further inland or happens to drift inland. But the chance is certainly there, but unlike yesterday, we don't have a very clear defined line of storms coming through, so our rain chances do remain somewhat low comparatively. Which brings us to our 24-hour risk chart here. Cloudy conditions throughout the day today, and temperatures peaking in the upper 70s. Now, Whether or not we get to the 80s, we'll see, but as of right now, expected around the 78, 79 range. And their chances of precip, we do have some yellows on the board for that note, especially once we get past afternoon. We might see a little bit of convective style storms popping up. Now that activity should die down just a bit as we move into the later afternoon, but we'll see those chances rise again, not necessarily for thunderstorms, but the chance of an isolated or scattered shower, as mentioned earlier, that might drift onshore. That's going to be in the late to very early hours of tomorrow. Now, for our winds today, they are elevated and are expected to progressively continue increasing until we reach possible wind advisory criteria. They're at the moment, most model projections are showing just under, but generally when we get this close, it's certainly on the table. And we will see that cloud cover, once we exit this forecast period, start to lift away into clearing skies. So that brings us to the short-term risk chart here, and to continue where I left off, those clearing skies on Saturday, once we get out of that very early morning period, that cloud cover will begin lifting to partly cloudy conditions instead of overcast, and that wind will still hang around. We'll also see a forecasted high of 80 degrees tomorrow with the chance of a wind advisory. Now, Saturday night, similarly, partly cloudy, maybe airing more so on the side of mostly clear, and a low of 68, and the wind should die down just a bit in those overnight hours before we see Sunday, partly cloudy, especially once we get going midday. We might see a little bit more cloud cover develop and breezy conditions again, and a high of 81. Also denoted with a yellow tick there, in which we might see a wind advisory. Now on Sunday, those winds were just a little bit lower than what is anticipated on Saturday, but it was nearing that criteria, so just wanted to bring a little awareness to the possibility of that scenario. But that is going to conclude the 8:15 daily weather operations brief. I will be back at 10 o'clock with the 7-day outlook.